Most entrepreneurs don't lack motivation. They're exhausted because they're pushing hard, but in the wrong direction. Because if effort alone created results, burnout would be rare among driven individuals.
Welcome to Success Spectrum Podcast, where new entrepreneurs break free from limiting beliefs, build unshakable financial confidence, and step boldly into the life and business they were meant to create.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Success Spectrum Podcast, sponsored by Apex Affiliation. I'm your host, Kadeem McLean. And first of all, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2026. Hope you enjoyed your holidays. And I wanted to start off this year strong by addressing a common misconception when it comes to entrepreneurship: motivation versus misalignment. So today we're going to talk about how misalignment quietly drains your progress and how to start correcting it without overhauling your entire life. And in order to do that, I think we should start here, where most people misunderstand the problem. See, motivation, I think it's already common. It's within a lot of entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs already have the motivation. You're starting something new. You're finally taking a step to start this journey of entrepreneurship that's been in your mind for years, decades sometimes, and it's been plaguing your mind, if you will. The thought of entrepreneurship, of launching that thing, starting that thing, has been in your mind. So you're excited. You're like, yes, I could finally build my dream job, my dream life, whatever it might be. I can go get that house. I can build towards it, that dream car. I can build an orphanage for orphans. I can build the hospitals or donate to sick kids the way I want, whatever it might be for you, right? So of course you're excited. You have your hands on something and you're finally starting it. So the momentum's there. You have the motivation, rather. It's there, the energy, the fuel. However, the issue is where that energy is pointed. You may be starting something, but you may not like it. You're going to like the destination, the quote unquote destination, because yes, you are passionate about giving back to orphans or sick kids or whatever it is in my examples. However, motivation is the fuel that'll get you there. But if you are not pointed in the right direction, your steering wheel is off, then you're not going to get there, right? Because that vehicle the entrepreneurship thing that you're talking about, it may not be the vehicle to get you there. Specifically, that business you're about to start, that may not be it. And I'll put it this way: if you are driving in a vehicle, and again, motivation is the fuel. If you're driving in the wrong direction, there may not be a gas station in that direction. You're going to run out of fuel because you're not getting the results, let's say, that really mean anything to you. However, if you are driving with that motivation, that fuel in the right direction, you're going to come across a gas station. You're going to be able to refuel. And that gas station is a result, which is going to give you that energy, that fuel to keep going in the right direction, because you can recharge, you can refuel, give you another boost of energy, and you can keep going, right? That'll ultimately help you to get to that destination. See, fuel without direction doesn't move you forward. It just leads you to burnout. If you're going in that wrong direction, again, the car is going to run out of fuel. So of course, that's your burnout. But if you're going in the right direction, you will have that motivation, you'll have that fuel, and you'll be able to keep it going. A quick story here. I had to recently make an adjustment, make a change, because I was constantly doing something for years. And I had to look at it and say, you know what? This doesn't necessarily feel like it's aligned with where I want to go, because the result of doing this work, great. Yes, it could get me there. But there's certain aspects of this thing that I don't necessarily like, and that's not a reason alone to quit. However, there's aspects that I do like, and in order to get to the aspects that I do like, I got to do a lot of what I don't like. And me, who I am, how I'm wired naturally, I avoid those certain things because I don't like doing those things, and it doesn't give me any benefit. I don't like to do this thing. So I had to readjust and change and realign to say, you know what, this thing might need to be let go. And you might be called to do that, right? You might be called to let go. But here's before we even get there, I think we'll talk more about that on the next episode, but here's what makes misalignment so difficult to notice for people. Misalignment doesn't stop you immediately. It allows you to keep going, but it drains your progress very subtly over time, right? Through decision fatigue, through constantly restarting, through feeling busy, but not moving forward. And in that, my example of what I'm talking about, that thing where I had to look at it recently, there was a lot of decision fatigue. There was a lot of me stopping and restarting to say, you know what? Okay, fine. I'll put in more effort. I'll start this thing again. I'll do it. And mind you, I'm talking about over a span of a decade. And I said, okay, let me keep going. Let me keep doing this thing. However, I I had to sit with myself and really realize, you know what, Kadeem, no, stop. This is nonsense. This is not getting you to where you want to go. Yes, it taught you some things. You learned some things. However, it's misaligned. And that's why you're constantly restarting. That's why you're feeling busy all the time, but you don't feel like you're moving forward. So if you're feeling anything like this in your life, here's the thing about this. Throughout that whole decade, something's been in my mind. There wasn't a big scream. It wasn't a flashing sign, because misalignment doesn't scream. It whispers. You may be hearing something in your life whispering to you over time. It's not going to scream at you. You're not going to see flashing signs, flashing lights, but it's whispering to you. And you know this thing isn't for you. Not that, again, to fail and quit on it per se. However, there are certain things that you look at where you know it's not aligned with who you are and where you're going. If certain aspects of it are, maybe you can make it work. But take a good look at it and realize and recognize for yourself, am I aligned or am I misaligned? Because that says a lot right there. For me, misaligned. I have to make an adjustment. So let's separate movement from real progress, because in that same business that I'm referring to, there was a lot of movement happening, constant movement, but no real progress.
What if shopping could earn you cash instead of just costing you? You've been stuck in the cycle, tap, swipe, spin, watching your paycheck just disappear. But one day, after you stumbled onto this app called Rakuten, you ask yourself, why am I paying full price when I don't have to? But then you think, maybe it's just another gift. Then one of your friends tell you about this app called Rakuten, who makes them money and gives them cash back and rewards for thousands of stores every time they make a purchase that they were made anyway. You try it once, you discover hidden deals, compare prices, and you start winning. Shopping becomes a strategy. Every tap pays you back, and you still get what you want. You share Rakuten with your friends, watch your income grow, and become more financially confident. Download the Rakuten app today and keep more of your hard-earned money in your pocket.
Motion equals activity, great, but alignment is the compounding of movement. Alignment is when your movements can compound over time. And for anybody who's heard of the compounding effect, it makes a huge difference, right? Our minds are unable to comprehend the compound effect, to really count by compounding 1, 2, 4, 8, so on and so forth, right? As opposed to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Our minds don't really understand how much things can compound over time. However, that is what's vital and important, because you get so much more results, better results, more effective results when it comes to compounding and being in alignment. Motion isn't the name of the game. It's alignment, and therefore your compounding momentum, that's the name of the game. A lot of you might be creating content without a clear outcome. We might be accepting opportunities without a primary goal. You know that goal or that opportunity that came your way is not in alignment with where you're headed and who you are aiming to be and what you're aiming to do. So why are you saying yes to that thing? We got to say no to more things because it's not in alignment with where we're going and what we want to do. I had to say no to something I've been doing for 10 years because I recognize, you know what? No, this thing's not really for me. Aspects of it are great, but I don't want to sit down and go through all that paperwork and so on. I don't want to do all of that. It's not, I get nothing from doing that. The backside of it, okay, sure, nice. I can use that to help people. But no, this thing here, it's not a good use of my time. A lot of you might be learning without implementing, like constantly reading books, constantly listening to podcasts, and you're getting information, but you're not implementing it. As my friend Al would say, we got to take action. Don't just take notes, take action. So alignment isn't about doing more. It's about doing fewer things on purpose. We've got to say no to certain things we've been saying yes to, and we've got to say yes to certain things that we've been saying no to. Because when this goes unchecked, when we're misaligned and we're not checking it, we're not accepting it or listening to the whisper, the cost becomes much bigger than just the time that you've put into it. See, there's a hidden cost of pushing in the wrong directions. Again, that vehicle example, if you're driving in the wrong direction, you may not come across a gas station before you run out of fuel. Your energy will be drained, right? This is one of the costs. The cost of misalignment is your energy. Another one is your confidence, which is huge. But even bigger than that is your self-trust. And of course, your momentum. Because throughout, again, just using myself as an example, when I look at the last 10 years, let's say, of me doing this thing, there were so many times where I thought to myself, first of all, I had no energy. I was burnt out. I was busted and disgusted, as some people would say, because I was constantly putting in multiple meetings a week, not just for training, but also for clients and so on, multiple meetings a week. And again, I was learning, I was implementing some of it, but I was misaligned. So it cost me some of my confidence. I'll put it that way, because I was like, wait, is this thing really for me? Can I really do this? Right? It eroded some of my self-trust, because when I decided, okay, I'm going to go all in, I'm going to put in a bunch of effort and so on and so forth. Great. But I didn't really get results the way I'd hoped to, let's say, and therefore it eroded my self-trust. And again, it wasn't because I don't know how to do this thing. If this was something I truly cared about, yes, absolutely, I could do it. I had a level of success in it. However, it's not something I really care for. So I had to say, you know what? No, this has cost me too much energy, has cost me too much time. My confidence, let's say, has gone up in certain areas. But with this thing, because I'm misaligned and I'm not as effective as I'd hoped I could be, it's costing me my confidence, my self-trust, and of course my momentum. So again, when effort doesn't pay off, people don't just lose progress, they lose belief. Again, belief, can I really do this thing? I don't know. I set out to do this, but I don't know if I can. It's all because we're misaligned. It's all because I was misaligned. So making the adjustments, that's where things can change. That's where being honest with myself, I can gain that confidence, that self-trust back, and move in the right direction. Because direction must come before execution. If we are moving in the wrong direction, who cares if you're executing? You're not going to get anything from that, and you're going to run out of fuel, as I've said earlier. So the real thing here, the real question becomes, how do you realign yourself without starting over? There's 3 questions you've got to ask yourself if you really want to be able to realign without overhauling everything in your life. 1, does this move my primary goal forward? Whatever opportunity, whatever decision you've got to make right now, whatever comes across your table, does this move my primary goal forward? And in order to know that, of course, you got to know what your primary goal is. And if you don't at the top of 2026, you need to go back to some of the previous episodes or sit down and really think to yourself, what is your primary goal this quarter? I wouldn't even say this year. This quarter, the next 3 months, January, February, March. What is your primary goal? Because whatever decision comes across your table, if it doesn't move that primary goal forward, we have a full sentence we can say to that opportunity. You ready for the full sentence? No. That's it. Nothing more. You're probably waiting for more. No, that is a full, complete sentence. That opportunity, if it does not move the primary goal forward, no. If it does, yes, I'll take it. Let's do it. No problem. Let's get it done. Question number 2, does this create momentum or distraction? We say yes to a lot of distractions. We allow ourselves to be distracted constantly, daily, hourly sometimes, because of the notifications on our phone, because people coming to us with requests, because somebody calling you to get something or ask you a question that's completely irrelevant to where you're headed and what you're aiming to do. However, if it creates a distraction, what's our full sentence we can say? You got it? No. However, if it does, it creates momentum, we can say yes to it. If the answer is yes to it creating momentum, the answer is yes. Our third question we can ask, would future me thank me for saying yes to this and doing this thing? Because if so, our answer is yes. However, again, if it's a no, we go back to our full sentence, no. And some of you might want to dress it up. Cool. No, that opportunity does not serve me right now. No, that opportunity does not move my primary goal forward. It's not in alignment with what I'm going to do this quarter, this year, this month. No, it's a full, complete sentence. And I have to tell myself that all the time because I'm a recovering people pleaser, right? So when people come to me with requests, it's difficult to say no and leave it at that. However, something again I'm working on as a recovering people pleaser. So alignment is adjustment, not reinvention. We don't need to reinvent everything. We just need to start saying yes to certain things we were saying no to and say no to certain things we were saying yes to. Small adjustments that need to be made. So a reflection, something you can ask yourself and think on is momentum isn't built by trying harder. I was constantly putting in more effort, thinking I was getting somewhere, doing more. If only I just made 5 more calls a day, then I can get to a result. It doesn't fuel me in any way. So again, momentum isn't built by trying harder. It's built by aiming better. There's another business. There's other things that I can do where now I'm in alignment. Now I'm aiming. If you are aiming at the wrong target, it doesn't matter how hard you try. you can hit the target and it will mean nothing to you. It will still feel like wasted effort. It will still feel like wasted time. It might still erode your confidence a little bit. Okay, sure, I did something, but it's not really great. And it might look good on the outside, but it doesn't feel so good to me. Some of the success I've had in, again, that journey I'm speaking about, that 10-year journey, it looked good on the outside, but it didn't necessarily feel good to me. It was like, okay, cool, great, thank you. But I was misaligned, and that's why. You might be misaligned. So again, momentum isn't built by trying harder, it's built by aiming better. So this week, one action step you could take today or this week is don't add anything new. Stop adding new things on your plate. Your plate is full already. If you were to eat what's on your plate, there'd be a problem. So you might have to loosen up the belt, all right? Sit back and let the belly hang. Take things off of your plate. Don't add anything new to it. Pause or remove one commitment that doesn't clearly support your main goal. If it doesn't support the goal, our full sentence, no. Take it off the plate. Don't even put it on your plate. Don't even let it into the room. And next week, I want to kind of talk about this quickly. Next week, episode 79, we're going to be talking about why doing more is the fastest way to slow yourself down, to slow your progress. So again, doing more, adding more things on your plate is the quickest way to slow you down. Misalignment isn't hard to spot on your own. However, that's where coaching comes in, because coaching can accelerate that clarity. And if you're looking to work with me, get some clarity, get a second opinion, have somebody look at it from a bird's eye view, go ahead and click that link in the description so you can see how we can work together and I can help you with that. And one final takeaway I have for you here is motivation fuels progress, but alignment determines where you end up. Remember, success isn't a destination, it's a spectrum. So keep evolving. Kadeem here, and I'll see you in the next one.